More than 600,000 backpackers visit Australia every year, contributing to $3.2 billion to the Australian tourism industry. Additionally, they also contribute 25% of the Australian farm workforce, which most of them do in order to stay in the country. Last year's legislation stated that farmers need to pay the backpackers more money. However, this year's new proposed backpacker tax that has been increased to 37.5%. Farmers are now afraid that the travellers will refuse to work. And who is going to work at the farms if not the backpackers? I went to Talimba, a small village in the centre of New South Wales, to visit farmer Megan Hardy, who have had backpackers working on their farm over the years. She believes that backpackers are the ones who are going to suffer in the long term.
As far as I know, the new legislation as of the end of August last year says that for young people, travellers, backpackers, to qualify for a second-year visa, they need to be paid an award wage and have their pay slips provided to prove that they've had award wage paid to them. And so there's been this uprising of people who have sued their employers and said that they haven't paid us enough money, and that's put it on the radar for the government, and the government's going, hang on, if they're not getting their money, we're not getting ours. And then they think, we could just raise the tax and they could pay more tax, and then for a whole year we get to use their tax money until they claim it back. And I don't know, but I think that if I was a young person travelling and I'd paid X amount of dollars in tax while I was working in another country, sometimes I would forget to claim it back.
Young traveller Victor Cavalier agrees that the increase in tax will not make working in farms worthwhile.
I think it's pretty bad, especially for farm, because people want to stay in Australia to travel and to save money. So when you pay tax today, you have everything back. But so it's, as I said, it's kind of saving money.
Yeah.
But if we pay like 37% tax, why should we go to the farm? I mean, it's useless, so it's going to be a problem for the farm, for the tourism, because it's not worth it after that. So I think it's pretty bad, yeah.
Amber Schroeders from Holland is currently working on a horse farm in West Wyalong, and she also agrees that the tax is unfair and she would rather work for free to get her visa.
Really fair, I think, because most backpackers who come here, they spend the money to travel around anyway, you know, they all invest in the country, it's not to take it home really.
Yeah.
Get my second year visa and work for free, it would be a bit easier.
Yeah.
It's so hard now.
Yeah. However, Megan would prefer to have young Australians working on the farm, but she believes they are too spoiled to go out and work.
If I could choose, if I thought that if a young Australian would do it, with the enthusiasm that backpackers do it, then I would definitely employ an Australian to do it. But there's not.
Yeah.
And I would put money on
And
that.
why is that?
I just think that Australians have been a bit spoiled for a long time. There hasn't been hardship and there hasn't been a lot of exposure to real life. And the generations before have been quite supportive of their children, which is in itself a great thing, but it's not forced them to leave the nest and go out and just get a job.
Yeah.
Go and get a full-time job and work hard and enjoy yourself.
Even though not many Australians do farm work, Nick Long from Sydney is one of the few who went out to get the experience on a real farm.
Basically, I started uni after school. I didn't really like it. I knew I wasn't ready. And I've lived in Pennant Hills all my life, and I thought it was time for a change. Done a bit of farm work with a bit of family all my life, so I decided to do something different. So I sent my resume through, did a week trial, and they said, if you want to work, let's work. So I did it. I had the best time ever.
Yeah?
Best 6 months of my life. Yes.
He also believes that the farms would not survive without the backpackers due to their cheap pay and hard work.
A lot of people that live out there, young people, are moving to Sydney to try and pursue something else because they live there all their life. So I think it's getting harder and harder to find people to work on farms. So even though they're cheap labour, it is good because they need them.
Yeah.
They need them to work.
During busy times on the farm, shearing time, sowing time, harvest time, even to some extent tax time, there's we just have bursts of activity, and so it's not, you can't say that it's a steady stream of work. And so the backpacker scheme has enabled us to go, okay, we have 3 weeks of really high intensity activity going on at the farm, and to have someone else there to keep things going, you know, so that I'm available to make phone calls and pay bills and help out in the sheep yard. And sometimes you need somebody who can do specific things. We need somebody who is stock sensible. We need somebody who can drive a tractor. And if that person is not available, then it needs to be me.
Yeah.
And I need somebody who can do my jobs so that I can go and do those jobs that we need to get done quickly, that need skills applied to them.
Nick believes young Australians would do the job if they got the opportunity.
Yeah, if they knew about it more, because I don't think many Australians actually know where all their food comes from and what goes into it. So I don't think many of them have much interest in it and know about it. It's not the easiest thing to get a job out there, especially people from Sydney who have no experience. So I think I was quite lucky in that respect to get a job out there. But if there was more opportunities, if they advertised it, I think a lot more people would do it.
While Amber thinks city people are too different.
But it's not no one from the city coming and working.
No, I don't think
Do
so.
you think they would?
No, I think the city people are too different. They couldn't handle it, I think.
The only Australians Victor was working with at the farm was travellers from Tasmania.
There was a group, like 3 Australians.
Were they young?
Yeah, like 20, 25. They came from Tasmania and they wanted to travel in their country. So what they did, it's like they travel, work to make money, travel again. So, but that's the only one. So maybe for 1 or 2 weeks. That's it.
So those young Australians were working on the farm because they were traveling themselves?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
It's too easy for Australians to just go and work for a few hours, especially younger Australians, to just work at the supermarket or to just work at the cafe, and not to take away from those jobs at all, but young people they're already living with their families and they don't want to come and live with yours. And then we're so far out of town, which is not far, we're only 35 k's from town, but it's so far that it's a significant amount to drive for a young person to work. And so they just don't. And I firmly believe that if I was to advertise a position for a young person to come and help at shearing time and live with us, so that they were available to us from daylight until dark, which is shearing hours, that we would not get one Australian applicant to come and do that job.
And in the end, Megan believes it is a waste of time and money to train a backpacker who is only going to stay to get the second-year visa.
When you invest 3 months of your time to train someone, when you're paying them full award wage, it's heartbreaking to invest that time and know they're only going to stay for 3 months. That all that time and effort that you've put into training them is for nothing. They're not going to work in that industry again, and we're not going to get the benefits of our investment. The changes that need to be applied to throw open the doors on industries that young people can work in, and yet let the young people decide how much they need to be paid. Stop dictating to us and to the young people how much they're worth. Let them decide.
Can you just stop right here?